honest. We are not ashamed of either. So we'll start with a word of prayer. And we'll have Nana this way lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this afternoon. We're so grateful to you that we can share this day. Father, in all things, Father, you said we should give you praise and we should give you thanks. You are the God who has given us, even the privilege of being here to speak with you, God. We just want to acknowledge you, and we just want to thank you, Father, for all the wisdom, all the knowledge that you are going to pass on to us this evening, Father, through all that. We pray, God, Father, that you can be able to help us, Father, to transform our businesses and in all areas of our lives, God. We thank you so much for everything that you have done. In Christ's name.
Amen. So first of all, we have the team from ServLed here with us today, and I'd like to welcome them and also share a bit about what ServLed Friday is. Now, ServLed Friday originally was, we started ServLed Friday to help our investing companies, but then it's evolved into a movement of like-minded, progressive business leaders, entrepreneurs who want to come every Friday to share a bit about what they're doing. So we have subject matter experts and business leaders who come in to touch on a particular aspect of business, and we all learn from it and apply it to our respective businesses. So that's what it's become, and that's what it's growing to become in the future. For us, it looks very exciting. And so today we have Mr. Ope Babalola, and the tradition here is we allow the speaker to tell us about the background, and so he'll do that. He'll do that when he starts his talk. But we have some ground rules here, and that's to ensure that we all enjoy the session and are not distracted. So I'll share them with you. First of all, can you all kindly put your phones, either turn them off or put them on silent. That way, as you can tell, this is a small room. It can become a bit distracting for the speaker as well as for those trying to pay attention. Secondly, if you have a laptop, a tablet fine, but laptop, it becomes a bit distracting when we hear you tap away whilst the session is going on. So that's politely asked that you do not use the laptop once we have this session. And there's a door to the back in the event that you want to use the restroom. Please use the door to the back. Hope you all enjoy this session. I was going to ask you to move forward because we start on time at 4:30. We have others coming in slightly late, so we ask them to use the back door. It will also be a bit distracting if we have them come to the front, so I would kindly ask you to move forward so we can get the space. And once again, welcome. We value feedback. We value feedback. So please, at the end of the session, we have feedback forms right up front. Please fill them in. Let us know how you enjoyed the session and what we can do to improve it. Please put that.
Thank you. My work and interests went into business training. I was with an organization. It was a UNDP funded program that evolved into itself. It's called Empretech, and a lot of what that organization does is training people in business and in business management and in basically running their own businesses and so on and so forth. After some time, when you do that for some time, then you realize that you're giving people advice that you're not taking yourself. you're telling people they should do this and they should do that and everything will be fine. And then you are sitting very comfortably in your job 9 to 5 and picking a salary every month. And then at some point an opportunity came and I decided it was time to leave and do something different. And I really agonized over it because as anybody who has ever been an entrepreneur knows, there's nothing more challenging than not knowing, especially if you've got people, you've got staff, you've got different things, you're working 7 days a week in some instances, at least mentally. Even if you're at home, sometimes, if you're at home, you have to sit there and your body is there, but your mind is in 5 different places, and then all these things happen. But anyway, I thought, but if I didn't do it then, I was never ever going to do it. So I did. We started off with in investments management and some advisory services. But one of the things that I missed throughout all that time was just the management training and the interaction with people who are actually trying to do something. Because let's face it, it's ideas and people with ideas that fuel economies and that cause and bring forth the growth in things. And some societies are better structured to help that to happen. For example, in the US, the bankruptcy laws, it's the easiest thing to go bankrupt. And there's no stigma attached to it. You're bankrupt, you just sign off bankruptcy, basically they chase away all your creditors, they're gnashing their teeth and very, very upset. But then it gives you, the entrepreneur, an opportunity to gather yourself together and go on and everything. But anyway, back to my background, I'll finish my background quickly. So, in some of the work that I was doing, it especially involved going around West Africa and, in different places as well. And somewhere in the middle, in my accounting years and so forth, I had worked in church and not-for-profit administration, but also covered a wide geographic area as well. So I ended up going around, several countries like West Africa, around Africa, and so forth. And it was a terrific experience for me because, like many of us who travel, we go to Europe and America, but we've never been to Togo or Benin in Africa, which is a shame, I think. And I started going around Africa and West Africa, and therefore, and I have to tell you that this is the place to be. 5-6 years ago, I figured it and we've been talking about it and everything. It seems like in the last 2 or 3 years, everybody has been talking about, Africa is the place, Africa is the this, Africa is the that, and the other. Some of us realized this a long time ago. A long time ago. It still is. There are challenges to be faced, we can't deny it. But still, if it wasn't the place, every day, just you go to the airport and you see the people who are coming in with their suitcases, with their briefcases and everything to come and drum up business there. So now, essentially what I do is I work mostly now in Sierra Leone, in a couple of other countries, but I'm working on some specific projects in Sierra Leone that involve some infrastructure development that they're trying to do, some other advisory services as well. Sometimes I have to kind of scratch out my old accounting knowledge and everything and help with some of those issues as well. But it's been very beneficial. It's been great fun. The other thing that my colleagues and I were able to do a few years ago was, while there's been a big focus on China and Europe and the US and everything, we realized that Southeast Asia, Singapore and some of these other places, are a lot friendlier to business, and culturally and values-wise, they're a lot more similar to us here than the West is. So one of the things that we did was we established the Africa Southeast Asia Chamber of Commerce. And it took a while. The Singapore government is very careful, and they really scrutinize very, very carefully anybody who is coming in and going out and everything, especially Nigerians. which I am. But through that, we finally got it started, have great offices there, and that's been going well too. And one of the results of that really has been trying to bring in Singaporean investors and Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia into Africa, especially West Africa. So that's me in a nutshell. Those are the things that I'm involved with, and we can talk about any or all of those things afterwards or even over the course of this. But right now, though, I will focus on the topic. As you can see there, it says excellence that crosses borders, and it's about taking a business to other West African countries and beyond. And that's really what we're going to have a look at. This is West Africa. I don't know how familiar all of you are with West Africa. The other people are fine figuring out how to get some of the Chinese people's money and bring it to themselves. Complete different mindset. But you see what we have is, but we're not even trading among ourselves. Even the trade that we're bringing amongst us, between us, when we go from one place to another, even that in itself, the challenge with that is that we buy these plastic goods from China and then we carry it on our head and then we ship it from Ghana to Benin or from Benin to whatever it is and carry it across the border. That's what we're doing. Most of the time, it's not stuff that we're making ourselves. We just import it. Maybe you got a slightly better import and then we try and figure out how we're taking it from one place to another. We have 320 million people. Of that 320 million people, increasingly many of the people are moving out to the villages into the cities. They're going to need things. They need services, they need goods, they need all these things. Who is going to give it to them? Who is going to provide those things? If not you and me, then who? Why should we expand out of Ghana? This guy, the Honorable, he's a Christian author. He said, the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of that opportunity. There's an opportunity. But no opportunity lasts forever. I don't care how good the idea is. Somebody else is going to have the same idea if you give it long enough. If Zuckerberg hadn't invented Facebook, somebody else would have made something very similar. I can guarantee that. If he hadn't done that, pardon?
Maybe Patrick.
Maybe Patrick. So we should be hating Mark Zuckerberg for that because he spoiled Patrick's chance. But if he hadn't, then somebody else would have. And it's the same with any idea. How many times have you had an idea and maybe you didn't act on it for some reason or the other, and then maybe 2 years, 3 years later, 4 years later, you see somebody doing exactly the thing, and you're saying, that could have been me. I thought, and then you're telling your friend, I was thinking about this 4 years ago. I'm sorry, but you didn't do anything about it. And now somebody is raking in seriously on that. It happens. Why not expand? And we'll look at why you should expand, but it's not for everyone. Maybe the nature of what you do requires that you stay where you are. Or maybe the risk involved or the work that needs to go into it, maybe you're not ready to do that. That's fine. Even right here in Ghana, there's a lot of opportunity. I know somebody actually who I was talking to about going to one of these countries and everything. He said, you know what? He said he has so much opportunity right here that he can't even start to look anywhere else. I'm sure you want to know who he is and what he's doing. but that's what he said. He's not even interested in looking anywhere. So that might be you. Maybe better, I said chances rather than just opportunities, but maybe the nature of your business line requires for you to be here. That's fine. That's fine. And then maybe there are risks, and associated expenses and so on and so forth. There's the travel, there's anytime you have to move a human body from one place to another and business and everything. It takes a toll physically, financially, all those other things as well. And yes, those are some of the issues that you have to deal with. So maybe it's not for you. And so you weigh the cost versus the benefit. Is it going to benefit you? Is it even something that you want to do? Maybe, like many Nigerians that I know, maybe you just want to be able to have your eba once a week or twice a week. And if you go to Cape Verde, you're not going to find Gary anywhere. And you decide that you're just going to stay like that. It could be. Who knows? But there are reasons to not go. So it's not for everybody. But there are reasons too. One of the first. Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay. Population trends. You know, there are, when I was born, which is over 50 years ago. And somebody knew that I was going to say that. Which is over 50 years ago. But when I was born, the population of the world on Earth was just in excess of 3.5 billion. Now it's 7 billion, I believe, in the region of 7 billion. In my lifetime, from when I was born, it has doubled. From then to now. That's amazing. Every single one of those people born has needed stuff, that needs goods, needs services, needs food, needs all those things. In addition to that, even in terms of the same population. Sorry, and one of the things that made me realize was that, you know, sometimes you see a company that's already big, like Coca-Cola or some other people, and they have growth plans and everything. And I used to think, come on, why can't they be satisfied? But if there were 3.5 billion people and there are 3.5 billion people more, why don't they want a share of that? Take note though. Anyway, we'll come to, as I said, we're going to come to the issue of Ghana's growth rate. The other one, easy mobility of some types of work. There's some types of work. For example, if I want to get a business card done, if I have a guy in Ghana who does it, and I'm in, I don't know, Sierra Leone, Guinea, you know, it can be waiting for me in my you know, whatever the video conferencing, they do easier transportation. certain type of and then just in there I saw and he used him then, so now he wanted it. Those are some of the reasons. Where are the opportunities? I started going to some of the other places and I realized that they're exactly where Ghana was 10 years ago. Exactly. You know, I remember the first housing development, one of the first ones. There were the SNIT ones before I came though. Not rocket science anymore. I'm sure that the first people who did that, they had a very steep learning curve. But after that, everybody is doing it. Same thing, Accra Mall. They built Accra Mall. Wow. You know, in fact, even still now, till recently, you know, everybody's there just to see it. Just to see it. All the teenagers, schools used to go on excursions to Accra Mall. Just to see it. I don't even know the last time I went to Accra Mall. It's boring. There's Marina Mall. There's this new ShopRite Usu with the nice underground parking. Marina Mall even has escalators. Even ShopRite in Kaswa, then right next to where ShopRite is in Kaswa, they're building a whole new mall complex as well. Malls are now nothing. But that's in Ghana. People still come from Liberia, from Sierra Leone, from all these places, and they too, they come on excursion. And at the time too, it seemed like how many can this handle? Now, I don't even know how many there are. And the economy is handling them. And people are buying from all those places, and people are getting office space in them. I don't know how many of them are very, very profitable, but they must be doing something to stay there and not to be going out of business. So the reason why I'm saying that is that Ghana is actually ahead of the curve in some of those areas. And it's a good lesson to learn, because when you realize that, then you realize that, you know, it's like you've been in the future and then you've gone back. Which one of us wouldn't be incredibly rich if we were able to go back maybe 10, 20 years ago and see some of the areas? I'll buy up all the land in Ebri Airport. I'll buy, well, airport, I'm sure they're already buying, but I'll buy up everything in Ebri. Ashesi will have to come and buy from me, and I'll charge them seriously. So you've got that. Even in terms of online services, just down the road from here, I saw Zuba Shop, whatever it is. That's our local Amazon, Amazon.com. You do your thing, you want to buy phone, laptop, everything, you go in there, you buy it online, you probably pay somehow or the other. which is a great convenience. But it's there, again, ahead of the curve. Hospitality industry. There's a new, hotels are opening up everywhere. I remember the time it was only Tulip and where else? Novotel. Novotel, who goes there now? Novotel is the boys' quarters of moving people. Nobody goes there, except you can't find space. So you've got that. And therefore, and all these are bringing jobs, they're bringing, whatever it is, and they're accommodating people and everything. Financial services too. How many banks now? 27 or 28? 27 and a half. Merchant bank is kind of half. but yes, 27 banks or 28 banks. That's a lot of banks. But even apart from that, now you've also got the microfinance. There are lots of them, and that one too has just been a huge boom. Again, Ghana is ahead of the curve in that area. Web-based commerce, agriculture, and with agriculture, there's several different facets. There's one of the areas is, excuse me, where's my water? One of the areas is the crops that you plant and you're putting in the ground. That's just one. But in addition to that, there are also the other allied services and everything, and there's the equipment that goes with it. There's even there are some people who provide equipment that tracks the farm inputs, just to make sure that there are no losses along the line. There's a whole industry around that as well. Then there's all the infrastructure development services and the things that are associated with some of those things too. I'll give you an idea. There's lots to do, but a lot has already been done. I know we're all pinching, the pockets are dry, the wallets are whatever it is, but in a way, you look around, somebody comes into the country and they're impressed. And really, especially where investors are concerned, that's what everything is all about. Go to any one of the other places. Honestly, you will feel like you've stepped back in time, 10, 15 years. Not because they're not smart, not because they don't have ideas, not because of anything, but Ghana is just that much further along the curve in those areas. So if you've been in the future, then why not go to, and then you have an opportunity to go back and do something to help. Not everything is capital intensive. I was saying that there's some money available. There is. It's just knowing where it is and how to unlock it, here and anywhere else. I was just reading somewhere that a few years, that since in the last less than 20 years, within Africa, we spent over $1.5 billion on conflicts. The wars and the kind of foolish things that we do. Total waste of money. Total waste. How do I start? I want to start figuring out what to do things in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in some of these places. Do your homework. Study the country. Have a look at what it is that they do there. What kind of things are there. Ask a lot of questions. Even look at their newspapers. Figure out, is it stable? Is the government stable? What kind of, just a few things to get an idea of what's going on there. Every country has newspapers online now. Pretty much all of them. So you can even have a look and just, at least it will give you a bit of a background. Ask people who know the place. If there are people who go there, if it's possible to get some contacts, then make some contacts there and start having some discussions with people and everything. You have to visit as well. You have to go there. You can get a lot of information by remote control, but there's nothing, but you cannot escape the fact that you're going to have to get there and get some boots on the ground and have a look around. Stay there a few days, 1-2 days won't go, maybe a week. Get around, look at the things. If there's something that's missing, then take a note of it and ask questions about it. They may not have it because they don't want it, or they have a substitute that's doing something, but just ask a lot of questions. Figure things out, and so forth. That's one of the things. Number two, determine who to meet. It's usually useful to meet government officials. It's not a bad idea at all. You meet someone, for one thing, civil service is the same anyway. They don't really have anything to do. They don't have a lot of work. So you can go in there, and even if you can't get an appointment that day, definitely you get an appointment the next day. Go in there. I want to see. And generally they welcome you and they'll be very nice. One hint that I'll give you as well. Ghana is very, very welcome around West Africa. In Sierra Leone, it was Ghana that set up the equivalent of the SNIT, the Social Security. They have Sierra Leone Commercial Bank. The chairman and early CEOs and so on and so on. Some of the board members were Ghanaian as well, and so on. So they're very, very open to people coming in from there. They're a little bit more suspicious of my people, but that's something as well. Talk to a lawyer. Talk to a lawyer. The initial visit might not be, you probably wouldn't be paying anything, but at least say that you're trying to come do business here. But you always need a lawyer. They're useful people to have. Have a discussion with them, figure out even how you're going to incorporate all of those things, what you need to do, and get some advice and so on. Look at potential partners, whether in or out of the country, and make sure that you have an in-country contact. You're not going to be there all the time. So there has to be a way for people, someone who can be contacted very easily. And therefore, who they feel like, well, this person is here. This person is here, so that he's not going, so this guy isn't going to run away. So try and figure out who that would be, and start to work with that as well. And that's the approach really that we've taken in several of those places. And we've been very fortunate to get some very good, type people. Usually the government officials, they'll tell you who is useful in your business sector and so forth and everything, and they want to, to do that. I don't need to tell you, make a great first impression. Nice business cards. Ask Nana, Sam and Nana, their cards are nice, very fancy looking and nice and solid, professional. Business cards, very important. And you'll hand them out, it gives a good impression. Smart appearance, of course. I went, and we're all sitting here and we're all whatever, but I went with somebody to one country, and he was trying to get a contract to do something there. And he went, and there was another group of people that also wanted to do something in a different business sector. So we all went together, and a couple of the places that we went to were kind of common places. He came in, when we met him, the car went to pick him up, brought him to where the rest of us were. He was wearing cargo pants and his best colorful Tommy Hilfiger shirt, flying there, everything, all. He was fly, the swag was there, but it wasn't business. He was very fortunate that he's a technical guy. And he said some technical things in the meeting, so they said, okay. But that first impression, and I thought, this is an adult. I didn't think I had to say that to him. But I decided after that, I'm never going to assume again, I'll always say. So that's one thing. Of course, to be punctual and very professional as well. And that's it. It's very basic things. We all know these things, but sometimes we need to be reminded. Now, a couple of things. Make sure you're keeping financial records right from the very beginning. As part of the business class, one of the things that's slated, I know, is about setting up excellent financial records and financial record keeping. It's very, very important. Very, very important. And you have to do it right from the start, because it's the kind of thing, have you ever had a situation where you've got money in your pocket, you've kept it there and everything, then you're trying to keep a record, and all of a sudden you just spend a little bit here, then you put your hand in your pocket, you take some out, and it's all gone. You say, what happened to all that money that I took out this morning? It happens all the time. Then you have to start racking your brain, and there's always a big chunk that you won't remember what happened to you. in business and in running our companies, exactly the same thing happens. You know, we're all smart people, we're all very intelligent and everything, but there's no human being. One of the times, many years ago, I started making sure that things like, even apart from financial records, even appointments and things like that, I started making sure that I was writing because I was keeping it in my mind. But then on Thursday, I remember an appointment I was supposed to have had the past Monday. It happened to me a couple of times. From then on, I thought, I'm not leaving anything to chance. So we need to do that. Document everything. Are you keeping financials? Who can tell me what is a balance sheet used for? Can anybody tell me? What's the point of that? Yes?
Financial position.
Financial position. Okay. What does that mean?
A net worth.
Pardon? A net worth, yes. It says, it's right now, what is my financial position? It doesn't tell you that there's somebody who is about to come out the door and you know, whatever it is. But it just says right now. What about an income and expense account?
How profitable the business is.
How profitable the business is. You've made, how much have you made? How much have you spent? And what do you have left over? Very basic things. Cash flow. You know, at what rate is the money coming in? At what rate is it going out? And so on and so forth. And on what kind of items. You have to understand financial records. Do you have a financial plan? If you don't venture out. Don't even venture out of your bedroom. You have to have a financial plan. And along with a financial plan as well, and any kind of plan, you also have to have milestones and targets. Why? They're going from here to I don't know, say from here to Circle. They're going from here to Circle and you've never been there before. I was going to say from here to Kumasi, but I'm going to mess up the towns on the way. But from here to Circle. And someone tells you, okay, when you get to such and such a place, you see this, and then you keep going. When you get to this other place, you know, if you're going, say you're going up towards through by 37, you'll see, you know, Golden Tulip Hotel, or you'll see whatever. You know, those are milestones, and then you know that you're going the right way. After 5 minutes, you should have reached such and such a place. If you haven't reached it, you know, and instead of that, you're looking at Oak Plaza Hotel, you've gone the wrong way. But that's exactly what milestones and targets are for. And we know it in real life and the things that we do, but then what about a marketing plan for the place that you're going to? What's your plan? And the reason why I'm talking about all these plans and everything is that very often we have a vague idea in our heads. But until we actually start to put them down, that's when we realize where the problems are and where the other, you know, good things are and everything. And then even who are your contacts for your marketing? Who are they? Who are you talking to? And how are you drumming it up? Who owes you favors? That's how people do it. There's some people who are very, very good at this. Even when you don't owe you a favor, when you don't owe them a favor, they can pester you. It's a gift. It is. Because some of us can't do it. Some of us very easily feel like we're being a nuisance. So, like me. But there's some other people who will just bug your life until you just say, okay. They want to borrow money from you or to borrow something that you have, and you feel bad. You can nearly go out and borrow something to go and give them because that's how bad you're feeling about it. But who can you pressure into helping? You can't be an entrepreneur and be shy and afraid to ask favors. You cannot. You can't. And you can't go into a new country or a new territory and not ask favors. You can. Unless you're coming in with wads of money and everything that you need, that you're going to have to establish yourself. Just a few additional things. Very law abiding. You're in a different country. You know, I wrote here, avoid politics. Don't even go there. You know, very law abiding. Talk to a lawyer, find out rules of the corporate, find out about taxes, statutory requirements, and all those other things. Avoid politics. Find out about exchange regulations. I added that recently because of the recent issues that we've been having. You know, if you make all your money in Liberia, you're going to have to keep it there. Actually, the good news is that the Bank of Ghana has now said that they're not going to automatically change. They're no longer automatically changing all the foreign currency and foreign exchange accounts. No, if it's there, then it can stay in whatever currency it's in. Hallelujah. What are immigration requirements as well? Fortunately, ECOWAS were allowed, it's supposed to be 90 days. Sometimes they'll say 60 days or whatever, but you know, it's visa-free travel and whatever it is. So, you know, there are advantages to that. But if you're actually working there, then some of it they can overlook, but at least still talk to somebody and make sure that they know. So that's just some additional information. So I mean, for one of the things I wanted to say, growth and wealth will come from middle class aspirations. I was talking about the population growth, and right at the very beginning, we're looking at growth rates of different countries. Who knows what the replacement rate is for population to keep growing at a reasonable rate? Ghana's population growth rate is just under. It's less than 2%. It's less than 2%. It's less than 2%. That's relatively low. A country like, Niger, the birth rate is something like, I think something about three children per birth or whatever it is. In Niger, it's 7. The average woman has 7 children in Niger. They're soon going to overrun everywhere. Of course, they have a lot of land, and for the children to just be running around. That's what they need. But it's 7. Some countries, they're growing very fast, but all of sub-Saharan Africa is growing at a very decent rate. You know, the average age in sub-Saharan Africa is 19 years. That's the average age. The average age in Europe is 45 years. Who do you think is going to have all the... We have a huge advantage here. We have a huge advantage. In fact, Japan is even worse. Japan, they're begging them to have children. They're paying them, they're bribing them to have children, and they still say no. So their populations are shrinking. Same thing with Italy, same thing with Spain, many countries in Western Europe. The US is about 1% growth, if that, and a lot of that is due to immigration. Mostly the Mexicans who are running across the border at night. But the growth and wealth is not going to come, the money that you and I, that we're going to make either here or in other places, it's not coming from the oil and gas or the minerals or any of those things. There is not one single country that I know in Africa that has made, that the society has benefited from oil and gas or from the mining or anything. Not one. There is none. The GDP grows, all the big numbers grow, the big men talk and say different things, oh, we're growing, we're now this, we now have this, our GDP has grown, all those other things, we say all those things, but when it comes down to how is everybody living, what is happening is that there's more money generally, but some people are making more and more, and the gap between the bottom and the top is getting bigger and bigger and wider. So for the people here, it's not stuff that's going to come from here. It may be from providing services to these guys. I'll just give you a quick hint, for example. Oil and gas. For many years, we say, oh, the oil is coming. When it comes, we'll be rich. When it comes, there'll be money. We'll need to set up a district. There are people, an oil rig. In Nigeria, we know everything about oil and gas. But we're not benefiting from it. But an oil rig costs, the association, $1 million a day to rent, to hire an oil rig. The oil companies don't own the rigs that are offshore. They hire them from different companies, $1 million a day. from that $1 million a day, there are also associated expenses. All the people who are there, they're bringing in, different services. Someone is supplying diesel, then the rig workers, maybe they're on for 2 weeks and then 1 week off on shore and everything. They're watching movies, all the light bulbs, even T-roll, everything. There's food, supplies, there's everything. Those are the people who are making money in the oil business. Because an oil rig, you imagine $1 million a day, 365 days, and they do a minimum of a 2 or 3 year contract. And then if you're an oil company you establish, you have at least 2 or 3 rigs that are drilling and looking for oil in different places. If you hit to, if you don't to, they're still going to pay me my $1 million. So who is the smart one? I'd rather be an oil rig owner than an oil company. So it's the associated services, and it doesn't trickle down. It doesn't trickle down. Look at Nigeria and Angola. Angola, a friend of mine spent time, was working in Angola. In Angola, the cheapest hotel you can find is probably about $500 a night. A bottle of Coke is minimum $5 to $8 in Angola, in Luanda itself. So some things are extremely expensive. He said he was renting an apartment for $10,000 a month. That's just average. It's average. 15,000 is not a big deal a month. That sounds like all Angolans, let's go to Angola. But the Angolans themselves, so that gap is there. It's not going to trickle down. So let's not be waiting for it. That's the point that I'm making. We have to figure ourselves out. But then if again, this is a question for me. There are lots of oil and gas services and several people, and several things, but there are many associated things. Even training for the companies, even providing services for them. Even providing services for the hotels and the places where they stay. There's one hotel that I used to stay in Takrady, that the oil companies, they've taken it over. They took over the whole thing and they just use it as their offshore base. But things like that. So those are the people who are going to do things like that. Even something small, very small, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but all the hotels, Holiday Inn and Tulip, I'm not sure about Labadi Beach, Holiday Inn, Tulip, and there's one other one. They use exactly the same takeaway bag for takeaway food. If people order food to take away, it's the same person who's making them all. Just these paper bags with the small handle and everything. They're exactly the same, just have the different hotel logos on them. Somebody is making it and supplying it with them. The print isn't even great, to be honest. But it's okay. And they found a niche there, and they're doing that. Services, associated services, we need to keep an eye out. And as we go to different places, you may go to Liberia or Sierra Leone or even one of the Francophones or Gambia, wherever it is, and you realize that when I go to a hotel and I buy takeaway, they just put the thing in my hand like this and then I'm carrying it like this and go, why don't I tell them, why don't you do it this way or this way or this way? But little things like that, we pay attention to that. And it'll come from the regular middle class, regular aspirations. You want to go to school, you want to do this, you want to do that. How many dry cleaners are there not now all over the place in Accra? Before, one or two, you go all the way to find one. Now they're all over the place. And these things will come. Areas of potential, I've already said some of this, online shopping and services, other shopping services. Even in some places you have people who can very easily, you buy stuff, maybe IKEA or one of these other foreign things, and if you have an address there, they'll do it there, and they ship it in country, do all the clearing, do everything, then they charge just a very small premium on it. Very, very small, very reasonable, very, very reasonable. That is quite common in Nigeria now. Everything. My sister is even buying things like fridges and whatever it is through that. That's something that we can look at here. But then we can introduce that. You just look at lifestyles. These days we're driving everywhere. One of these things, I was talking a little bit earlier about those things that you say 4 years ago, you looked at something and you said this would be a good idea. A few years ago, I remember talking to somebody about food, fast food, and how it wasn't just that easy to get. And then I was in Nigeria a little while later, and there's so many places where you could just get food. You could walk into either a supermarket or what used to be a regular fast food place, and you have a whole, almost like a buffet type thing, but at regular food rates. Now, you've got the food bar sections at ShopRite, at even the ShopRite, including the Osu one. You've got it at Marina Mall. You've got it at all these places. They're doing sandwiches. A few years ago, who would have said that people are going to be buying sandwiches from the supermarket? But people are buying them, otherwise they wouldn't be making them. But it's all those regular things, convenience, and all the other things. Now, even carrots, they're now chopping them up and cutting them up for you. And then they bag it. And all you have to do is that you take it home, you open the thing, please wash it home. But you just wash it a little bit. You don't have to go through all your scraping the skin, you're doing all this. Several years ago, there was a lady in Takoradi who was a client of ours. She used to get fish. She'll do the fish, she'll process it and everything. And then she went out of business because there just wasn't that much business for her. But now she's doing great. You go to Koala, you go to all these places, you see, she's done the fish, she's filleted it, wrapped it up. A lot of the fish and seafood and everything that's there, it's local. But in other places, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. Again, it's several ideas and several different things, because we're in the future, and when we go to those places, we have an opportunity of going a little bit into that. You just look at the lifestyles and the things that complement those lifestyles. The benefits, you have a bigger market. We've already been through the learning curve. You can even learn, there are some things that they're doing there that we're not doing here as well. You may even be able to cross-exchange information and bring from there as well. Knowledge is never one way. And of course, you make money and friends as well. Those are some of the benefits and some of the things. It's a bit of an abrupt end right there, but those are some of the things, just even about taking your businesses across the borders. It needs to be excellent. The key thing though is that if we do it, then we need to do it well. If we're going somewhere, otherwise somebody is just going to come with a higher quality product and then just swamp you out. If we're going to go outside or to anywhere else, let's go with the maximum quality that we can have. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any comments? Anything as well? Yes, please.
As a small business owner, at what point do you think I need to go outside the borders?
Well, if your hands are full within your borders, then that might not be right at the time. But again, it depends on your appetite for risk right at that time. Some people will feel like my opportunities here are limited, so let me go try somewhere else. But someone else might feel that, okay, this is starting to pick up, let me try there as well, and let me just bring out as many things as possible. It's a very individual thing. It's a very, very individual thing. But you also have to keep on looking for where the opportunities. If you see an opportunity, that's what the quote said. An opportunity doesn't last forever. So if you're constantly on the sniff of opportunities and you just think, this looks like a good opportunity, then see if it's something that you can pursue. Of course, you still have to be careful and not, spread yourself too thin. Not try to grab too many things at the same time, but keep an eye out for opportunities. And if one comes up that you think that you can take, then see what you can do about it. That's what I think. Yes.
In terms of scaling or getting into different countries, I know most people have said that Nigeria, because of its size, that's where to go. But for what you've done, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and let's mean Nigeria. Yeah, exactly. I mean, which would be the very first, to step into in terms of if you wanted to expand out of Ghana. I know it probably depends also on the industry that you're in.
It depends on the industry. Gallywood and the music industry like Nigeria because the more people are there. But if you go to Sierra Leone and there's a street party, I was there just before Christmas, street parties everywhere. They like to party. Johnson.
Yep.
They can party. It's all Ghanaian music. But to answer your question, it does depend on what you're doing. To be very honest with you, the Nigerian market is it's a very challenging market, and you have to be on the ground. You do. I have a Nigeria strategy that kind of works for me, which I can't really share. I can share it one-on-one. Or one-on-one I can share it. I can share it one-on-one. But I don't mind sharing it one-on-one. But I think, and Nigeria as well, is some of the things that are happening in Ghana now, from people who have seen some of these things in Nigeria actually. So Nigeria too, in some areas, not in others. Ghana has some areas in which looks to Nigeria, but some other areas which just says, we're doing our own thing, we're independent before you, so we don't need to be following you. So there's that, so there's that. No, but it's healthy. But it's healthy. You can't just keep on following somebody, but it's healthy and it works. So what I think is that, for example, mobile telephony came to Ghana before it came to Nigeria. So I think the reason why I like the smaller countries is because you can be a local champion. Exactly. You can go in there and you've seen things that they haven't seen yet. You're not likely to have seen too many things in Nigeria that many people haven't seen. But you can do it. But it also depends on the business sector. If you're trying to sell something that's Ghanaian, for example, Nigeria, electricity in China. What's our current electricity output? About 2. No, not the voltage. The total megawatts that are generated. About 2,000. It's supposed to be 1,000. Let's even say 2,000. China is adding 105 gigawatts a year. Gigawatts. So that's perspective in terms of market sizes. It works for them, but if you did gigawatts, nobody will even we'll all have electricity. So it depends on what you do. Some things you want a market that you can, you just put your product in there and do. But some other things you want somewhere where you can be the one who is leading in the development of that area. Yes.
So when you're talking about your guidelines, and you mentioned the various steps and contacts.
Yes.
I realize you didn't mention the embassies. Is it because they're not helpful, or that's something you will about? Because they all have commerce sections within the embassies.
Okay, let me. That is a little bit of a bias for me. I got lost in Niger once. My passport was stolen at the border. I was held by a soldier who wanted to lock me in one place. Eventually, I made it into the capital city, Niamey. Eventually, I was with somebody else. In fact, when I was held by the soldier, I told the guy, just go right back to Lagos, tell them where I am. And honestly, the whole time I was thinking of, on this whole map of Africa, I'm at this sorry point right here. What am I doing here? What am I going to tell my parents I was doing here? Why am I here? But anyway, I got to the Nigerian embassy. They didn't even open the gate for me. Someone just kind of looked out over the years. I told them what happened. Go to the police and tell them. I did that. I got sorted out and everything. So for me, ever since then, I don't even bother with my embassy at all. I don't. It might be very different. So yes, long and short, you can add that as well. It might be helpful. Yes. It might be helpful. So you can add that. I'm not adding it.
opportunity.
Yes, private consultants.
So, okay, anything else?
You know, I asked about countries. What one sector? I mean, you talk about services.
Yes.
Within the service industry, what one area?
You know, I think there are a lot of opportunities in the hospitality industry. That's going to be a big one in many places. Everybody is focusing on tourism. Many of these countries have, some of these African countries, they're among the most beautiful places. If you go to Guinea, you go to Futajalon Highlands, the mangoes are like this. It's one of the most fertile places on the surface of the earth. Once we were going to Guinea from Conakry. Conakry itself is a horrible place, but you go outside of Conakry and you just go outside a little bit in town. We went out to something, we were going to examine an aluminium plant. On the way back, it had rained the day before. On the way back, the hills, kind of like going past Shy Hills, waterfalls, all the way there, about 10 waterfalls in the distance, beautiful. Some of the most scenic places in the world. You know, but the hospitality industry is going to be big in many of these places, both domestic and international as well. Our people didn't used to stay in hotels. Now they're going to start staying in hotels when they go, you know, you're going to someone's funeral in, I don't know, in Cape Coast or in Kumasi or something. It used to be that you, the host, were expected to be able to accommodate everybody. People nowadays, it's a lot less. People are going to be more and more ready to stay in hotels. And it's starting to happen. It's already happening in Nigeria, and therefore people are building hotels in those places. It might be small guest houses where people are going every weekend. Hospitality is a big one. Online services is another big one. Now, for years and years and years, they've been telling us about all these cables, all these fiber optics, that they've dropped it at this place, they've dropped it. It hasn't made a difference to any of the internet that we're getting. But at some point it will. At some point it will, and it will improve. You know, phone content. Who here has a ringback tone on their phone? That when we call you, say, well, we're waiting for you to pick up the phone. Who here has one? Something. You know, some of us do. You pay for that. It's not free. And those companies, they make a lot of money with selling those services and all those funny quizzes that they just throw up and people answer. All of those things, they're all there. So online and web-based type services, hospitality, those are areas. And then there are associated areas in those things as well. The person who is developing software for a hotel, you realize that a hotel is exactly the same as a hospital in every way. So people go there, they sleep there for a number of days, they get food, they get services, they get room service of some type or the other, you charge it to their bill, at the end of the day, they pay the bill and they go. It's exactly the same thing. So, you know, you've got all of that. You've got expertise in one, which automatically gives you expertise in the other. But even through that, there are things that are associated with it. There are the clothes that the hospital staff, the scrubs that they wear. Somebody can be sewing all those and getting ready for them and selling. There are the supplies for them. There's the training for the staff that do it. There's the business management aspect of it. All of those things come up. But you see, you can look at a sector, but within that sector, there are different segments and fragments. There's some that I haven't seen that I don't realize, and then somebody is just going to tell me maybe tomorrow when I walk out of here today, do you realize what this guy does? Does this? And wow, that's true. Somebody has to do that. And somebody is in there, he got in there first and he's rating. Sometimes you have to see it to know that we already have this here, but you go somewhere else and you're not getting it, and then you realize that, oh, there's a gap right there. And yes, and sometimes the thing that I've heard before is that our imagination sometimes is the sum of our experience. So we might think that we have a big imagination, but in a way, somehow, it's experiences that we've had and things that we've seen that allow us to be able to imagine and to see some of those things as well. So look around, keep your eyes open, and when you see gaps, then try and identify it as well. Yeah. Okay. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. It's not this number one, this number two, this, but that's kind of. Are we through? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I can sit here.
Well, thank you very much again.